I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters and Pathfinder School. What we're going to do today is we're going to make a tool for our foot-powered pole lathe. And the tools that you use for that are a hook-type tool. That's basically a flattened piece of steel turned over to a hook. And then it's either sharpened with an outside bevel, an inside bevel, and sometimes with a bevel on both sides, on the outside or the inside, depending on what you're using the hook for. And this is one that I made the other day that I used in the last bowl making video, and it is double beveled on the outside. So I'm going to make a mashing tool for this today that's double beveled on the inside, which will take off more material faster, but it also digs in deeper. So this is better for finished work. The other is a little bit better for roughing type work. So we've got a piece of 01 tool steel here. I've got a piece in the forge now that is just 3/8 inch diameter 01 tool steel. And I used a broken axe handle for this one, and I'm going to use a broken shovel handle the same length for that one. And I started off with a piece of 18 inch 01 tool steel for this project. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is just kind of draw out a section of this to a taper and a point and a flat. Going about an inch back, and the rest of it's going to be drawn out from there. Okay, we are real close to exactly what we want now to start off with here before we go to the grinder. Now we're just trying to make sure that we have an even taper and thickness all the way up. And then we ended up about 1/4 of an inch wide on the end. Now we're just going to let it air cool. Okay, now this grinder work is going to be pretty much by eye. And all I'm trying to do is put a convex edge on this back side, which is going to be turned in, and then the other side will be flat. So we've got this thing tapered up here, and we're going to turn it in here. Our convex edge has to be here. So I'm just going to start rolling the convex edge on there, just like this. So I'm reducing the thickness of the material back here much more heavily than messing with the front end. When I get this down to about the thickness of a 1/2 dime, I'm going to stop and reduce material on the other side. Okay, now I'm just for sake of appearance, I'm going to chamfer this off just a little bit right here where I've got that ricasso. I'm going to bevel that just a little bit. Also constantly feeling my edge here to see if I'm building up a little bit of a wire edge on the other side. And I am. That's what I want. And we won't do the final on this until after we bend it. So we don't want to get it too thin before we bend it either. We just want a little bit of an edge on there. Alright, so here is our second tool that we made. And you can see the bevel on this one's on the inside and the outside is flat. Now in comparison there, I get the tool, the first tool that I made, which is this one. And you can see that it's curved on the outside. The bevel's on the outside and it's flat on the inside. So you have one tool that's more like a woodworking gouge, and you have one that's more like a woodworking chisel. So one is better for roughing work and one is better for smoothing work. So we're going to go ahead and take the one that we just made here on video. We're going to try to rough out the backside of this bowl with it. Now you're cutting a cross grain on part of this, so part of this is going to be a little chunky looking to begin with for sure. Now we cut the corner now. Now we're kind of to the outside here of the bowl. Right here coming around, and right now, again, we're just roughing, okay? But a tool like this is going to grab really hard if you're not careful. So you really want to keep that thing canted to that, you know, just a little past 7 position. If you get that thing turned over like this, it's going to grab. Just like that. You'll know if you get it wrong because it's going to grab on you almost immediately. Once we get the roughing part of this out of the way, we get to a smoother surface, then we can really see how well it's going to cut shavings. Because right now we're just chunking off bits of this that are out of round. And there are going to be spots that we're hitting and spots that we're not because of that. Okay, now I'm coming in at a slightly different angle. Instead of being over to this side and coming in, I'm coming in basically straight on from the front. But I've still got that tilted angle of about 7 o'clock going uphill on the piece. Now remember what we said about this tool. This is a roughing type tool. And because it has that inside bevel, it's going to make some pretty deep grooves in the material as we're coming across here. And we'll come back in with our outside bevel tool to smooth that out here in just a few minutes. And now that we're getting this thing a little bit more dialed in, a little bit more round all the time, the tool is going to run a little smoother all the time as well. But you can't rush it. You can't go too deep with it too fast. And you got to keep it under control all the time. Just like that. It's a little too deep right there. Better off going shallow and having to make a few more passes. One of the things that I want you to see here is I've got this tool very long, and I've seen drawings of guys with these things on their shoulders doing this, and that's kind of the way I've been doing it. But a lot of the guys I see in the UK have that laid down low enough that they can put it right in the crook of their arm. But I've seen illustrations and line drawings from like the 1700s, 1600s of them having that tool on their shoulder. Because this lathe was already built tall, I just left it this way. So what I do is I use this as my levering point for going in and out. And I use the front hand to just kind of guide the tool. So I just kind of ease in there to my angle. And I just kind of rock forward on it as I go. And I guide the tool along the rest with my front hand. And this hand really is just locking the tool into a solid position more than anything else. what I've found is that you really don't have to go super fast with this, especially when you're trying to get used to a new tool or something like that. Going ridiculously fast at this thing really just helps you make more mistakes a whole lot faster. Alright, so I've got this one roughed out pretty well now, and I've stepped it. It's got several steps going up the bowl. I decided to make a different style than I've made in the past, and now it's time for me to flip it around and work on the inside. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a demonstration on how the tool that I made today works as far as roughing out the surface of a bowl. And you can see it'll actually give you a fairly smooth surface, even though it's a roughing tool. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this quick video on how to create a lathing tool with a forge and some 01 tool steel, and then how to utilize that tool to get the best results. And I'm new at this, and I'm just learning a lot of this, so I'm by no means an expert at anything that I'm doing on this lathe, but I am getting some very good results, which to me is very encouraging. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your views. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.